Let me throw it down to the ground, make them turn around in the darkest night.
One of the weaknesses here for AL is that short range that we talked about all the way back in draft. How can Hope get close enough without the rapid fire cannon? Impale going in, there's the pop blossom as Kyle finds 3. Junja falls low, and he'll fall as we look for the engagement towards the backline from Doggo. Doesn't go in with the killer instinct, holds it for the moment. The depth charge used alongside that equalizer. The wave now pushing in there. Tarzan, a hero's entrance. The GA on Tarzan's shoulders will bring him back to life. Both the Nexus towers are down as Kyle begins to open up on the Nexus. CFO trying to defend, but they just can't do it in the face of anyone's legend. 2-0 now on match points. And we're back for what could be the final game of the day. CFO so close to a historic comeback against the LPL #1 seeds, but anyone's legend just proving they are that step above, that cut above through the end of game 2.
Yeah, I mean, on reflection, I think that CFO, with the advantage and position they had, probably just had a few better options. I think
Kyling shouldn't have hooked in. That's what you're saying. I agree with you.
Yeah. Also, like, they could have just waited for Elder, for example. You know, they could have played the game a little bit slower with the position advantage that they had. In any case, they now find themselves in this situation, and I think your takeaway should be that they should be feeling a lot more confident. Like, you look back at that game, okay, we screwed up in level 1, we fought our way back valiantly, and then we made a bit of a blunder in the late game fights. So they should feel very confident that they can definitely go toe-to-toe with AL. The problem is, I think AL are also going to recognize, all right, let's not do that again. We're going to be jumping into draft, powered by Omen and HyperX. What could be the last game of this series. AL moving over to the blue side. CFO looking to try and get counterpick as Rest will jump into the draft.
And the thing with Rest is he's known much more as the carry player for CFO. We did see him earlier in the tournament on an Ornn, but that was more because Driver needed the game off. And so the question is, now with counterpick on the red side, can you get enough of an advantage for Rest to actually be able to gain control of the game? Caitlyn and Leona banned out early here from AL. They've been banning those out in the second rotation the previous games. Pantheon and Vi taken away by CFO, actually matching the bans that Anyone's Legend were doing when they were on the red side.
So what will the priority be this time around? Annie was something that was hovered in the first game and is of course still available. The Nocturne ban, we see this come through later on in series, knowing how effective the champion can be, especially when the jungle pool gets thinned out. Ginger has had a Nocturne performance so far in this tournament, and they are respecting his proficiency on the champ. Now on the side of CFO, what are they afraid of? The Varus is the big one for me that stands out. Both Varus and Ezreal are available right now, and Hope, if he can get his hands on it, I'm sure he'd love to grab it, and there's going to be the ban. This means that Ezreal might be an early priority, but Aurora as well. Another champion that both mid laners really love to play. We've seen it first picked in the draft as well, and I guess like Annie would be the immediate response if it does come through. I guess it depends on your preference. Oh, of course. Okay, so an early support, priority.
Yeah, so the thing is, Alistair's gone. Nautilus is gone, Leona's gone, Nico's gone. What other engaged supports are we really looking at? Rakan is the only one that really springs to mind, but Rakan is, you can deal with it in quite a lot of different ways.
There's also Kalista Renata.
True.
There's Braum as a possibility as well.
Are we talking about Kalista Renata as good picks at MSI, or
I'm just saying
neither of them have won a game?
Again, we've gone through this. They are a set of picks that historically have been used into RAL. Okay? I'm just throwing out the option.
Oh, Trundle will be the pick for CFO on this first rotation.
They're worried about a blind Scion as well.
Yeah, the thing is, AL don't have to ban the Scion away from Driver because Rest is playing, which allows the Scion up for them. And CFO unlikely to pick the Scion themselves, because if you were going to draft Scion, you'd just play Driver, right? So it's Ezreal Trundle as their 2 picks. Obviously, Trundle very good into the Scion, which pushes Flandre into a slightly different position when it comes to picks.
I was going to question, do they need something like the Zion now, or do they instead just go for a jungle pick? Tarzan's Lee Sin. I mean, an old one, but it's a good one.
There's Lee Sin, Twisted Fate. if you want to play
yeah, the Twisted
quite
Fate.
aggressive.
Honestly, I'm glad Twisted Fate has been lower on the priority list. I do not think that champion is being played around very well, and AL going to forego the pick. The Annie will be locked in. Just a very well-rounded mid lane champion right now. She provides good CC, she has solid laning phase, and also just in the mid game she spikes so hard with her ability to flash engage. Doggo going to be ready with his trigger figure on the cleanse.
Assuming he takes cleanse, obviously has the arcane shift as well if he wants to play a little bit further back and just look for the poke. Braum is the lock here for CFO. Once again, good disengage, especially into the Rel who wants to jump in as soon as she's in the middle of you. If you haven't been caught up, if you arcane shifted away, then the concussive blows come out. The Braum can really slow her from ever getting away, because when you crash down as well, you're reducing your movement speed, which makes it quite hard for the Rel in that 2v2.
Moving on to the second phase of bans now. We expect mid laner bans to come through from AL. AD carry is going to be the focus from CFO. Civic going to be the first to take it off the board. I wonder if that Xayah that we mentioned earlier will be next to hit the ban list. Kai'Sa already taken away the Lucian, MF, Jhin. With the Varus also banned away. That pool slowly starts to get pinched with the Caitlyn taken away as well. I wonder if we'll see something new from Hope, or whether he will just stick to the Xayah. The Victor going to be taken away, known as a very safe control mage pick into the Annie.
Yeah, you just have enough range, really, with the Chaos Ray to farm up the minions. Don't have to worry too much. You've got the Siphon power as well for the movement speed in the lane, and the shield. It can be quite hard for the Annie to really harass you too easily in the early game.
I think Orianna has some decent value for CFO. Could be another possible ban for AL.
Where will CFO go with their final ban?
Yeah.
It is the Senna, so that means the Xayah is available for anyone's legend and for Hope if he wants to pick it up. With the Rel already locked in, obviously you're not going to get that Xayah-Rakan combo, but you're looking at keeping your top lane pick for last if you're CFO. Trundle can go top, but the expectation is that that will be in the jungle. As AL look towards their final ban. Anything that you're worried about Rest bringing out? Well, the Jace will be the ban.
Hover on the Blitzcrank makes no sense. Just a hover on Blitzcrank. Yeah, I mean, when we get deeper into the draft, I thought early on about Cassante. It's something that Rest... It's one of his preferred champions, for sure. Something that is very well known for.
I think it's his most played across his career. It's very comfortable on this champ overall. But instead, the Hui does make more sense. Give your top laner counter pick. That's why you brought him in for this series-defining game. You brought him in to be a bit of a wild card, to do something a little bit inventive. There's the Orianna. Good prediction on that, Betty. As now we see Flandre having to blind his top laner.
Ooh. Hope hovering through a few options. None of the ones that we talked about earlier. It depends what they're very much feeling. Jinx, I mean, doesn't have a lot of protection in a composition like this. But against an Ezreal, you should feel pretty safe to free farm.
There we go.
Going back to the Xayah that we kind of expected to come through. I think it's nice into the Trundle pillar specifically. They're going to go for a blind Gwen for Flandre.
Flandre does love his
I
Gwen.
think, like, Jax could just be a safe topside pick if they want something that has side lane threat, also decent team fighting. They're going to go for the Gwen. Of course, now Rest could pick up the Jax for himself. I don't know if, even though he's super comfortable on the Cassante, I don't know if I love it into Gwen. I feel like that you're kind of giving the Gwen a bit of a free lane. I mean, I guess you could argue that you just fully itemize on the magic resistance, but at the same time, I feel like that you never really have any kill threat on the Gwen.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of leaving her to her own devices.
How do you feel about it compositionally if it is locked in? It is actually going to be the Gnar in the end. Look for that range advantage over the Gwen in the early game, get a lot of grasps, procs off, but Gwen obviously later on can just take over side lanes.
Yeah, it's much more of a lane bully in favor of the Gnar, but I think it reaches a point where the Gwen really starts to win out on the matchup. In terms of team fight value, Gnar synergizes very nicely with CFO's comp. They've got like the possibility of a wombo combo, but they're very reliant on Rest to kind of act as an engage, which I think is just a very difficult thing to do. AL's composition is a lot more well-rounded in that they have solid lanes, they have solid skirmishing just because they have Lee Sin Annie. They scale well because they have the insurance of Gwen playing through the side lane. It's also just like, what's the threat onto Xayah, really? If the Trundle's kind of running at you, Xayah loves that. Yeah. And while the Brawn can, of course, be obnoxious for the feathers, it's a situation that I think is difficult for the Trundle to deal with. So, again, I do kind of favor AL's composition. I just feel like they have a lot of tools. And I think that in the early game, they have been the team that's consistently found these advantages. So, looking at this Annie Lee Sin, I would be very afraid going into that, especially in the hands of Tarzan.
Oh, 100%. Tarzan on his fabled Lee Sin. Hasn't brought it out yet at MSI, but something that he's been known for across the years of his career. And with the series he's having so far as well, giving him something that can have playmaking potential just really facilitates anyone's legend through this early game. Okay, we're just all running into the same bush, are we? Kaiwing's there. Could be stunned up by Shanks with that disintegrate, but Kaiwing...
Round 2.
Well, he wisely walks away from them this time, Bedius. Kyle can always just jump across the wall here, as we're going to actually head over to a quick interview, as Shox is standing by with Kadril.
I sure am. Hello, Mark. How's it going?
It's going great. This is amazing. Being in the venue, the crowd's really loud. It's really fun to see these games.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god, we got a level 1 fight. There's a flash forward from the Annie. A big stun with the W is going to land on the Honkyu. Kaiwing's going to try and get away with the flash, and there's the flash from Junji as well.
Let's go. He still got it, guys. Hey, what's your thought on the... I mean, they chose red side, finally. CFO, do you think they used it to their advantage?
I mean, they got Orianna into Annie, which is a good lane. They counterpicked the Gwen, but I don't think the Gnar is that big of a counter. I think the Orianna is going to need a lot of help this game. I think it's all going to be about mid.
What does your gut tell you?
I think AL's comp is going to be a 3-0.
Thank you. Enjoy streaming over here.
A 3-0 for AL's comp, says Kadril, and the crowd here not too excited by that possibility. They did boo him. You saw a bunch of flashes burnt in the early game. Great job from Kadril for narrating that for us. Junja no longer has a flash, nor does Honkyu. Kaiwing has neither of his summoners down towards this bottom lane. As Shanks burnt his flash, Ghost was used by Flandre. Less summoners overall coming out from AL.
Oh, that's a lot of damage on the Kyle. He's got to be careful here. Doggo with pinpoint accuracy on that Ezreal.
I think the thing is, if you're Kyle, Doggo had to use his one and only health pot, and you have 2. True. So you're kind of okay with that trade, especially if you can get towards the level 2 first.
Very, very good point, Medic. While AL get the push in the bot side of the map, Shanks, wow, he's bullying out Honkyu in this early matchup. Normally the Orianna has the advantage early on because the Annie's, well, the Q, when you use it on your opponent, increases the cooldown. You don't get that cooldown reduction compared to when you're hitting last hitting those minions. And normally you have that slight range advantage, so you can just kind of bully out the Annie every time she tries to walk at you. You can slow her down, but Shanks finding some good angles of attack, getting the push in this matchup. And right now, AL just kind of have 3 pushing lanes. The Lee Sin is going to be pathing towards the top side of the map, I imagine, to assist with Flandre, making sure that he gets that push underneath the tower. And getting it under the tower is important, because you don't want the Gnar to potentially set up that freeze and make things very difficult. Meanwhile, we do have to give congratulations to Kaiwing, his 100th international game.
Which, when you consider Kyle going in here, Shadowing Strike going down as well, but when you consider the fact that Kaiwing and the teams he's been on don't often make it too far in the tournament, just shows his consistency as well. Getting over that 100 mark. He would like to make it 102 by the end of the day.
Oh, he certainly would.
But AL have other plans, it seems, as Junja finishes his clear, so does Tarzan. Both of them going to get their respective scuttle crabs.
Speaking of the junglers, Tarzan, it's kind of been a massive impact when it comes to the early game performances of AL. Of course, when we think back to last game, a lot of early ganks were happening, but you kind of look at the advantages that he's been able to build for himself throughout this series has been monstrous, and that K+A at 14, averaging 3 throughout this series. And you think about in the last game how many solo kills that were coming through as well.
Good pillar here, but Kyle holds on to the crash down, so was able to jump over it afterwards. Junja was looking for a gank down towards this bottom side, but unable to find anything. Currently just shadowing his bot lane, yet to recall, whereas Tarzan has and is already back out on the map doing his razor beaks and pathing down towards bot.
And this is part of the thing that he does. His pathing is always very smart and calculated. He's always about maximizing and efficiency when it comes to that jungle clear. Getting the re-clear on the Raptors already means that he is a camp ahead of his jungle counterpart, covering the bot side of the map. I don't know if he needs to force something. I think you can just go get the Krugs and look for a base. That's what he's pinging towards right now. Just as the Krugs have started on the opposite side. So small gold lead already built up for AL. Nothing too significant for the time being, but this bot wave in a very comfortable spot for Hope and Kyle.
Yeah, they'll be very happy just holding it here for as long as possible. Obviously, Ezreal can eventually push it in with those Mystic shots. Tarzan is still covering here as Kyle might look for the mount up flip onto Kaiwing. Doesn't find it, and there's the back coming out from Tarzan. He'll path back out towards his top side and start clearing through his jungle once again. It feels so slow without 4 kills at level 1, Betty.
Really? Does it?
We're 5 minutes in and no one has a 1,000 gold lead.
Still keeping my eyes on these junglers, though. I feel like we talked about it in draft. We've heard Kadril comment on it as well. This mid lane matchup is going to be super important. This is more of what we expect in the matchup. Honkyu utilizing his range to chip away at Shanks' HP. After the back, he's feeling a lot more confident in that matchup now. The wave state's in a really good position for him. He can just keep doing exactly what you're seeing. Slowly but surely chip away at that HP bar. Now he's got level 6. He's kill range, but the level 6 is going to be ticked over by Shanks, popping the E as well. That extra bit of shielding. And the mana is a little too low, I think, for Honkyu to actually threaten a kill.
Both of them are going to have their flashes coming back up at the same time as Kaiwing tries to hold the wave here underneath the tower. Won't be able to do so. And AL wisely back away, not really forcing for that plate. Want to get their recall off to match the fact that Doggo's got back and got himself a tier and the double longswords. With a 200 gold lead, we'll see if Hope can get a slight advantage in that lane as Tarzan shadows mid lane. I mean, if Shanks flashes in and lands that Tibbers with the stun up, there's the shockwave. Honkyu flashes away well.
That shockwave was perfect timing.
Really well done.
My goodness. I feel like he had to have been anticipating something. The way that Shanks was playing the lane there, it was definitely very suspicious from Honkyu's perspective.
Ginger was also in the river, so perhaps they'd seen Tarzan pathing around that point, or Ginger just expected Tarzan to be nearby. Really well done by Honkyu to avoid the pressure from that mid lane, but it does mean both their flashes are down once again, and a Trundle gank onto an Annie or a Lee Sin gank onto an Orianna.
Flandre's here.
And Kyle has a flank position. Ginger still on that dragon. Tarzan looking for the steal. Flandre's going to join in. Honkyu coming in from the side. Doesn't have that shockwave, but does have enough pressure to force Flandre and Tarzan out. Kyle looks for the Shadowing Strike. There's the crash down as well. Ginger's going to land the smite. Hits level 6 off it. Could look for the subjugate. Flashes away from the Sonic Wave. Flandre with the needle worked. Only goes into the Unbreakable as Doggo begins to open up on Kyle and Hope. Good Shadowing Strike is cleansed away by Doggo, but Kyle has to flash himself. Doggo with the lethal tempo gets first blood. Hope flashes away, but is hit by the Winter's Bite beforehand. I don't think he's going to escape this. Another auto attack would be enough. There's another Winter's Bite. And Honkyu will be gifted the kill. Good play caller back from Hope. Honkyu gets on the board.
CFO off to a fantastic start. AL don't make the play happen in the mid lane. That's the first step of this whole process, because Shanks, after committing his flash, means that he's not really able to get involved in the play. He also went to the top side of the map as Flandre rotates down. The re-arrival of Honkyu means that AL are fighting this fight on 2 different fronts. Tarzan has already been forced to use his W. It's hard for him to get back into the fight, and the engage comes through from Kyle. But CFO wisely, they just hold their ground. Ginger is forced to flash out of the fight, but Doggo, he again just isn't afraid. Pops the cleanse, turns his attention onto Kyle, lands that last auto attack, and Tarzan and Flandre can't do anything to assist. They get 2 kills, they secure the dragon. Strong position to be in right off the bat.
The thing for Doggo is you've just seen Crash Down and Shattering Strike being used. The Rel can't do anything to you after that. The only thing you have to be concerned about is the Xayah, so he gets a free chance just to walk up and join up with the rest of his team. Great stuff by CFO. Anyone's Legend, though, will be able to pick up the grubs for themselves off their reset timings. It's Shanks matching up into rest on that top lane. Hope and Kyle coming across just to make sure these grubs are securable. AL have got the first 2, and without Ginger in range, you have to think it will be 3. Good disintegrate there onto rest. He was looking for the Gnar back because Ginger was waiting just around the corner. It would have possibly been Shanks going down. No flash on him. Ginger with the pillar gets the slow. Good stun into the Tibbers. Keeps Ginger at bay there from Shanks.
Bit of supportal combat in the mid lane as Kaiwing throws at the shield to mitigate the damage coming through from Hope. CFO being as proactive as they can be on the map. After losing the grubs, right now the focus is on farming. I expect to see a readjustment of the lane assignments in the near future, as the Dragon will be the next big point of contention. But for now, just a trade back and forth between the two teams, working towards that next major item. Honkyu going for the rower build. Been seeing it so often on mid lane majors.
Kaiwing unbreakable a little bit late there. Does still have the 6, so the Glacial Fissure a looming threat for Kyle and Hope. They didn't want to chase any further into it. You can see what Kaiwing was meaning to do there. If you put the unbreakable, that shield up, you block the blades from coming back and managing to get the damage down, but in the end, it'd still get rooted and get damaged. Some good vision as well for AL down towards this bot side river, which is going to start being cleared out by Kaiwing. Honkyu getting the push in the 1v1, but is behind on CS to Shanks, and I actually really like that lane assignment from AL. The fact they've said, okay, Gwen, you can deal with the Orianna, and we're actually going to make sure the Annie has an okay time into the Gnar.
Right now, it's red at the bottom of our screens. Rest has been farming well due to Flandre getting involved in that early Dragon fight. Shanks losing out a little bit because Honkyu did secure that first kill. Now, this build from Honkyu, Merc Treads into the Rod of Ages, a lot of survivability, a lot of tankiness. Really helps when you've got kind of a wombo combo comp coming in at you from the other side. Problem is, in terms of damage, it's a little bit slower on the scaling side. So CFO got to be cautious about how they approach these early fights. The Trinity Force spike that they have on both Doggo and Junja is going to be a valuable asset to play around. But still, something that they'll have to bear in mind is that if they try to overforce with a build like this on Orianna, you're not going to have access to that high level of damage from your mid laner for a little while.
Well, the good thing for CFO is they did manage to take the first Drake, so if they want to give up the subsequent Drakes, they can wait a little while, right? It's 20 minutes before AL are fighting for a soul. CFO can play around it a little bit quicker. I will say CFO haven't really been a team to give up neutral objectives, so my expectation is they'll still look to try and fight around them, but for the moment they're very happy just farming up these lanes, trying to mismatch, trying to get Flandre a little bit behind. He's about 13 CS, 2 waves behind Rest right now, who's having an okay time into that Annie on the top lane, but Shanks is farming up well himself, has the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. We've seen a lot of Annies going towards the Malignance first, just so you can get more of those AoE stuns down in fights.
Tarzan spotted on the mid wave. Good vision coverage was invested by AL around the Dragon. They've been able to retain one ward on that blue buff. Observer's just panning over it now. But CFO have used this window to immediately move into the river, gain a bunch of vision control on the bot side. And they saw Tarzan move up towards the top side as well. It's going to move back towards the Dragon, though.
I think my big question over these next couple of minutes is how deadly is a Gwen or an Annie flank for CFO right now? Because unless they clear out that control ward, there are 2 teleports that can get behind them. If they force for this Dragon and AL decide they want to take the fight, that could be the deciding factor. The fact that that control ward still stands there and the teleport can come in.
Trinity Force for Trundle.
And for Rest.
It's CFO's kind of scary right now. And Tarzan is nowhere to be seen. I don't think they're contesting this medic.
That is as good as gone for CFO. A couple of pings coming out on it. Kyle did challenge the last Drake when perhaps he shouldn't have, and there's the teleport behind immediately.
Corrected.
AL looking for it. Kyle and Hope putting some damage into Kaiwing. Shanks on the flank is a double TP. They're investing all of it into this fight. Rest only half Mega Gnar. Kyle going in with the Magnet Storm only onto Kaiwing. The Sonic Wave back. There's the Shockwave as well. Junja down to half HP. Hope begins to open up. Rest though jumps back in, looking for that Gnar. Gets Shanks against the wall. Junja survives, and Shanks will fall. AL, they force the fight and they lose out heavily.
What was the game plan here from AL? They were so late to the Dragon. CFO saw the collapse coming in. They watched the TPs travel across the rift and onto that control ward. And then the coordination from AL seemed completely off. CFO happily pick up another kill. I think they even got 2 off the back of that. We'll look back at it. The engage comes through from Kyle, 0 follow-up. Tarzan knows that the Braum is in the way. It does get the knock-up onto the Orianna, but there's no follow-through. Meanwhile, Flandre is just being zoned away by Rest. Rest then gets a good ultimate off onto Shanks. Kyle drops, Shanks drops, and it's an easy Dragon secure. A massive overforce from AL. Questionable decision-making from them that's put CFO in a great position here in this early game.
They're flying high early on here. 2,000 gold, the Oysters lead. And a lot of that sitting on Rest in this top lane. Had the Trinity Force completed just before that fight. Has a 20 CS lead over the Gwen. It's about 800 gold ahead. And now with 2 Dragons, CFO are the ones who can force the tempo of the game. They can make it so that AL have to fight them around the next couple of dragons. Otherwise, you're looking down a soul point, and it's Mountain Soul as well. And when you have a burst composition, you really don't want to be looking at a Mountain Soul. That extra shielding makes it so hard for you to actually get your damage to 6.
If I'm AL and I press tab and I see 3 Trinity Forces on the other side, I'm like, that's an interesting state to be in 14.5 minutes into the game.
Suboptimal, I believe, is the phrasing.
I mean, it's not that AL haven't got items of their own, but Trinity Force, I feel, is just such a good spike for so many of the champions that play it. And it makes this Herald, I think, an easy point of contention for CFO. I think that they should feel confident trying to fight this. The TP available for Hongqiu means he can join at any time. Doggo staying in mid lane to help get push, and Junja there to cover. Meanwhile, Kaiwing clearing out that vision on the river. The proper steps being taken by CFO. They will spot out that ward by AL. And now it's just Rest. It's a bit isolated from his team. AL threatening a trap. Will Rest fall for it?
CFO sense something up here, don't they? They haven't seen Tarzan or Shanks for a little while. Rest almost has that rage bar fully stacked, and AL back away as they see Kaiwing coming in towards that tri-bush. AL had a little bit of vision up towards the top side, but they're going to lose it. Doggo, Shattering Strike, Tarzan jumping in as well with that Sonic Wave. Looks for the Dragon's Rage, but Doggo jumps away. Dragon's Rage kick back, Exhaust going down, and the TP coming in from the Orianna as she looks to join the fight. The Rift Herald will reset. Hongqiu here now. Does have that Shockwave, but will AL still take this fight on? You've got Magnet Storm, you've got no flash on Kyle, there's no vision behind the pit if you can find a flank position, but Tarzan's low doesn't have his Dragon's Rage.
Both mid laners have their ultis available. You can see that Shanks is in a position looking for it. Flandre goes over the wall.
It's into the back of the pit. Tarzan looking for the Sonic Wave. It's Junja who secures it. There's the Tibbers. The Magnet Storm follow up, but the Shockwave will pull Kyle back. He's stunned up with the concussive blows. He manages to survive. Hongqiu chasing him down. Will get the Clockwork Wind up. Meanwhile, in the back of the pit, Junja is going to fall. Rest looking for that Mega Nut. Hongqiu is on the wrong side of this wall, but does still have a flash. And that Nars now Mega. Doggo putting some damage in with those Mystic shots. And in the end, the Rift Herald secured by CFO.
A 1-for-1 and a Herald. I don't think CFO is too upset about that. They played around the Annie ultimate well. The Tarzan was so low at the start of that fight. They did some serious damage to him because he tried to make a pick onto Doggo. They get his summoner spells out. That's effective. But now Tarzan still doesn't have any HP. They tried to get into the pit, nowhere near. Tarzan doesn't have the threat of a smite. It's a good Annie ultimate to connect onto 3. The Shockwave in response only connects onto 1. But Kaiwing is just blocking so much damage in the front to back. It feels like CFO feel way more comfortable. And while there's an exchange of jungler for support, they walk away with the Herald. So I don't think CFO is too upset about that.
Even with a great stun coming out from Shanks, it wasn't enough for AL. They just didn't have the damage follow-up. They couldn't close that gap quickly enough. Good Shockwave as well from Hongqiu to distract the backline. You can't step forward. The ball is that looming threat. Rodovage is 5 stacks on it now for Hongqiu, halfway to getting that extra level.
Yeah, I mean, that Shockwave it only connected onto 1 rather, but the zone that it controls exactly was really well done. All right, we take stock, and it's a 2k gold lead for CFO. In such a good position, and with the dragon spawning in 10 seconds, they immediately turn their attention towards it, the vision already being set up. Tarzan on the top side of the map again, not really in a position to contest. AL.
Every time you've said that, they've fought, Betty.
I am aware.
Every time you've said it.
I am aware. I'm just saying that right now, in terms of the map state, AL's not a good position to contest this objective. Yeah, they're probably going to try and force their way in anyway. Tarzan's going to steal away the Raptors.
Shanks has the teleport, so he can get down here. Rest has one of his own.
Well, here we go again.
Drake started for CFO. Shanks going to TP in as AL look to take the fight. Hongqiu is going to be met with Flandre down towards this bottom side. Flandre snips away the control ward. AL trying to gain some purchase on the river right now, but Rest is still in the top lane, building up that Mega Gnar bar. It's about to go Mega as we see the catch onto Kaiwing. Even with the Tibbers, it takes them an absolute age to kill him. The follow-up from Tarzan, the onto Doggo is good, forcing him to Arcane Shift away. Rest isn't TPing into the fight, and that might be AL managing to get themselves on the board in terms of dragons.
I have to question the decision-making there from Kaiwing. Face-checking into a brush when the rest of your team just isn't in the river. Hongqiu now isolated.
Doesn't have flash here as well. Shockwave just about to come off cooldown, but it's not going to be enough to survive. And AL will take the neutral, and they'll take 2 kills.
CFO trying to respond by dropping the Herald in mid. They've got the top tower. They're looking to get another one.
Rift Herald charging in will give them that tier 1 in the mid lane. In fact, they're going to take it and then charge in for the tier 2. Kaiwing caught a little bit by Tarzan, but a couple of procs on the concussive blows forces Tarzan to be a bit more cautious. Rest still pushing in top. It's going to be matched by Shanks.
Okay.
Oh, it's a collapse possibility. Rest does have that Gnar up. Gets the wallop, gets the stun onto Kael. The Gnar back, Shadowing Strike still's going to connect. Rest with a good jump, and they switch places. It's a merry-go-round here as Rest looks for another wallop. Flandre caught out a little bit by Junja down towards this bottom side. Doesn't have the flash, is only running Ghost. Rest escapes, and Flandre now needs to be careful, but I don't think he'll escape the clutches of CFO. Kaiwing tanks a couple of tower shots as well to make sure they take their 3rd tower of the game.
So CFO were losing a bit of control, but then they find a pick on the bot side and quickly convert it into a tower. Now that's 3 out of towers, the advantage for CFO. And AL, I feel like all they're doing is punishing the positioning mistakes from CFO right now, and CFO have to be a lot more respectful. Even though they have the gold lead, even though they should be playing with confidence, you can't just disrespect AL like that. They're a team that when you are out of position are very quick to collapse.
And they have the tools to do so
Yes,
as well. Sonic Wave into Dragon's Rage kick. You've got the Tibbers, got the Magnet Storm as well. If you are on your lonesome, or even if there's only a couple of you and you don't have the Braum there to protect you, and you don't have a Mega Gnar who can disengage the fight for you, it can be really tricky here for CFO. They do still have, though, this substantial gold lead. 2k ahead, 2 Drakes to 0. They managed to pick up the feats as Honkyu will just stop Kaio's back here. Shockwave bringing him back. Kaiwing will look for the Winter's Bite. Kaio remounts to try and get a bit of extra movement speed. Will land the Shadowing Strike, and now Honkyu's out of position, and we talked about it. You can't be 2v3. Honky trying to escape, but Tarzan's going to chase him down. Flandre has the flank position here as Rest TP'd in. Flandre needs to get out because the rest of CFO are going to collapse. Snip, snip, they go. The needle works. It's 2 for anyone's legend. And just like that, the game swings the pendulum in favor of AL. Doggo across the wall lands a Mystic Shot, but doesn't hit with the Essence Flux. True Shot Barrage not available to him. Tibbers here to tank the Otacon a little bit. Will chase off Doggo. AL, they're doing it safely. Junja can still look for the steal. Doesn't have the flash, but has the smite. Can step forward here. Hallowed Mist out from the Gwen as they look for the Otacon. Junja's in there and he steals it away. Better Storm comes out, but Doggo finds 1, fights 2 with the True Shot Barrage. It's a triple. It's a quadra. And Doggo is barking.
Doggo just pops off in the team fight. You could tell that AL was very wary of his positioning, and they used the Tibbers to try and zone away him from landing that Q poke. But he still finds an angle. Junja finds the steal. And while CFO is getting caught, they were making mistakes. It felt like they were giving the game over to AL. Just like that, Doggo comes in clutch. Keep your eyes on his positioning. On the right flank, he's connecting Q after Q. The pillar, making it very difficult for AL to escape as well. Hope really has nowhere to go. The smite at just the right time. Yes, they do lose Kaiwing, but Doggo with just perfect precision.
With the crowd behind him, Doggo absolutely popping off. It's been an MSI to remember for him after his time, miserable time in the LPL. Now showing up for the LCP. Dragon's Rage kick back onto Rest here. Doesn't have the flash. Has no chance of surviving. AL once again will punish a bit of over-eagerness from the CFO top laner.
CFO need to be way more careful. They keep getting caught. They have a good gold lead right now, but these mistakes can quickly cost you so much. We've seen how ruthless AL can be. They're in a fantastic spot to secure this game. They now just need to hold on to this control. Dragon spawning 40 seconds. That top tower really can't be defended. AL make their way into the top side jungle. Now again, I will say, positioning-wise, AL not in a good position to contest.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're giving this one.
They're really good vision control. They've invested their vision on the top side. They have the push-up here as well. With 20 seconds left, AL shouldn't be able to challenge this dragon. Shouldn't. In quotation marks.
I would be surprised if they do, even after what we've seen so far in this game, because CFO not only have a 3.6 thousand gold lead, they also have 2,500 gold worth of petals from that Otacon, 29 to 9. That is a hefty chunk of change to be ahead because of the adaptive force it's given you. And you can see AL, for once, go along with our expectations. They back away, they'll get some vision towards the red side jungle of CFO, who put themselves on soul point with that Mountain Dragon. We ruined the fact that they lost the third, but now they have the chance to take that fourth and get the Mountain Soul. For AL, you are very deep in a hole right now. Flandre and Shanks have very minute leads, whereas Tarzan and Hope are both 1,500-ish behind their enemy laners. 2 items complete on Doggo, 2 as well on Ginger, who has that Triforce and the Dead Man's Plate for a little bit of extra chase potential. As Shanks will get the stun onto Kaiwing here, but Kaiwing with the Mercury Treads and the Locket and the Kindle Gem is not the target you really want to burst down.
CFO need to play calmly now for the next 4 minutes. Items looking strong. Doggo, I wonder if he has enough gold to actually buy an upgrade right now. He is where a lot of the gold advantage is sitting on. There it is, Spear. Spear of Sojin completed for him. Ginger is the other big strength for CFO right now, and I mean, it makes sense. You look back at that last Adakan fight, and it was these two that came up clutch. Honorable mention to Kaiwing as well, doing what he could, considering his HP. CFO get the push over the mid wave. Top wave also pushed in, this will give him an opportunity to start moving some vision control into the top side jungle. Rest very separated from the rest of his team. He doesn't really have anywhere he can go on the map. Obviously that bot wave is far too deep onto AL's side of the map. Means that he's looking to group up with his team. Kyle needs to be careful.
He can get close enough to the wall to crash down over it. Kaiwing knocked back with the blast cone, but Hale don't really want to engage on the Braum. For CFO, it's kind of a waiting game. If someone oversteps, you can look for the pick and then go for the Baron, but really 3 minutes from now is what you are looking at. Get yourself that Mountain Soul, force AL to try and take a fight around it. The risk is that Hope might be at his Infinity Edge by then. He already has the BF sword and the pickaxe. Shanks on his way towards his Liandry's as well, with the Malignance and the Bloodletter's Curse complete. Ooh, Doggo. Arcane shifting across the wall. Hits the Mystic Shot, oh my god! Hits another! Hits another! Hope has the Featherstorm and has to pop it just to survive! But down you come and down you go! Doggo finds the kill, and now, with the Shockwave, Tarzan has to flash away. TP behind by AL as they look for a flank position. But Doggo didn't invest anything into that, it was purely the ultimate.
A straight up solo bolo. Doggo with the assassination onto Hope. And AL may be losing all hope in this game as the Baron now started off by CFO.
Flandre has his teleport, but will AL look for this? Tarzan hits a Sonic Wave onto Hongq, gets vision of the Baron, jumps away. And now he has to kick back Ginger. Kyle up towards the top side, trying to keep Rest busy because Tarzan is falling low towards the bottom. Doggo surviving, Arcane shifts across the wall, the exhaust coming out, a good double stump from Shanks. Meanwhile on the top side, Flandre and Rest are fighting for their lives. Doggo with a true shot barrage will kill off Shanks. And CFO once again find 2, AL find nothing.
Doggo goes godlike as CFO rack up the kills. With the Baron in their sights, there's no jungler to smite steal it away. A solid game 3 from CFO with just a standout performance from the man on your screen, Doggo. Carrying so many fights, making amazing plays. And he's looking to keep CFO alive at MSI as the Baron is secured.
I cannot stress enough how disappointing Doggo was when he was in the LPL. He came in with such hype, such expectation, and then struggled so much to do anything. Now back in the LCP, he is showing he's not only a player to be feared, but they're a region to be feared here as they fight back against AL. We'll have another look at this. Tarzan and Shanks just trying to find something, but Ginger just has so much damage in the chase.
I love that Ginger just turns his attention on the Tarzan and says, you know what, let's just kill the jungler, why not? Doggo forced to use his summoners to escape from Shanks. And it's a good attempt from Shanks, realizing that, hey, if I can at very least kill Doggo, maybe they can't do the Baron, but that man has protection. And they find another kill. Now, Dragon, 20 seconds away. CFO should be able to pick up the soul from this. And AL, a very muted game from them. They've really only been able to punish the mistakes that we've been seeing from CFO. But Doggo has been there.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he is so strong.
And this Ezreal speaks no English. It's absolutely absurd how much damage he's doing, how he's weaving in all of those spells. Has the QSS now as well, if he is ever caught by a Shattering Strike or by the Tibbers. Rest here with a good wallop. Nar into the wall as well. Honku flashing for it, but the Shockwave doesn't clip Kyle as he jumps away. AL might see that as their opportunity to go for the engage, but Kyle's still half HP and CFO still very healthy. Junja's sitting on the Drake right now. Sonic Wave from Tarzan goes between the uprights. Kai Wing on the front line. Glacial Fisher going wide. Junja still on the Drake. 6,000 HP. Down to 5 now as Tarzan tries to get into the pit. True Shot Barrage just behind him. Tarzan still finding a way to get in here. Sonic Wave hits, but it's too little, too late. Soul secured in the priceless moment of the game for CFO.
Great patience from CFO, just leveraging their range, their zone control, their poke. Junja, he's not afraid of anything.
Good pillar from Junja. They turn around onto him with the Magnet Storm, and with the Tibbers, they'll get the kill. Tarzan looking for a flank here, has that Dragon's Rage, but can't find an avenue to approach. CFO still with the Baron for 40 seconds. That's about one more wave worth of pushing time.
I wonder if they're going to keep going with this. Tarzan's going to go and catch mid-wave to make the siege that much harder. Orianna's Shockwave is about to come off cooldown, and AL hold the line for now. Tarzan, he's got to retreat.
Has to get away from Rest here. The Hyper Dragon's Rage has to be invested. Rest would have the chase potential with that extra movement speed. And now for AL, it's all hands to the pumps. How do you extricate yourself from a situation like this? 5,000 gold behind. You don't have a Skarner to hit a 3-man Impale. It has to be something pretty darn special here from anyone's Legend.
I feel like CFO, with the lead they have, they don't need to slow this game down. On the one hand, you could argue they can just wait for Baron, but I really don't think they need to. They don't have to allow AL to have more time to maybe complete that extra item. Instead, they should just get back out onto the map, leverage the fact that Doggo is doing so much damage. Sit underneath that tower, poke away at AL's HP bars, play through 2 lanes, and eventually you'll be able to crack into the base. I feel like it's simply a matter of time.
They might just be waiting for Doggo's flash to be back up before they really push for any sort of major advantage. Especially with Flandre actually being quite big on this Gwen, almost has that Rabadon's complete. The risk is, if the Gwen is on the backline, if Doggo gets CC'd 3 times because he has a Cleanse and a Mercurial Scimitar, then perhaps Flandre can gobble him up and snip him down. But for the moment, CFO just splitting between these 2 lanes. Rest is going down towards that bottom side. Baron buff obviously has expired, so they don't have those enhanced minions to help them with the push. Pillar down onto Shanks, who does have flash but doesn't need it, uses the Tibbers to dissuade CFO from advancing any further.
I mean, Shanks just did no damage. The Mountain Soul plus the high HP, the resistances, he is not really melting anyone. Sure, Honkyu's getting a little bit low, but now that the burst is gone, Shockwave connects, chunking out Shanks.
Will survive. Next wave, a little way. There's the TP. Flandre going in. AL have called their moment for the fight. Shanks is going to recall and then TP back in. Counter TP coming out from Rest as Flandre puts the needles through Honku, but just doesn't have the damage. Backs away. Counter TP there from Shanks, but now he's all on his lonesome. Tarzan going in. There's the stun. Tarzan dashes back with the Iron Will trying to survive. Getting to Kai out, but he can't do it. True Shot Barrage out as Doggo and Honku will secure that kill. Junja follows up with another one. Rest chasing Shanks down towards the bottom side. He's got a stun lined up, but Rest is just trying to keep AL from defending their tower. Doggo dashing forward. Flandre trying to snip through him. The blades come back with the Feather Storm, and Doggo still survives. Flandre and Hope do not have that same luxury. Shanks will join his team in the afterlife as these Oysters are flying high.
It's a 5-0 ace. CFO set their sights on the Nexus, and they're looking to keep their hopes alive here at MSI.
CFO proving the comeback in Game 2 was not a blip as they get 1 game and start to come back in this series.
Impressive.